Public airwaves as a public service here over WOON, AM and FM. Massachusetts Governor Charlie Baker remains committed to a slow, careful reopening of the Massachusetts economy. Baker says a deliberate phased opening of the economy combined with expanded coronavirus testing is the best path forward. Baker has announced a 4-phase reopening of the economy that is expected to begin next week. However, details of exactly which businesses will be reopening in each phase remains a bit uncertain. The state of Massachusetts is confirming another 174 deaths of coronavirus in the Bay State. Yesterday's update means that more than 5,300 people have died from the virus since the pandemic began. The number of confirmed cases in the state rose by more than 1,100 yesterday and is now over 80,000. More than 3,000 people remain in Massachusetts hospitals being treated for the coronavirus. Boston Mayor Marty Walsh says decisions about reopening sectors of
Good morning and welcome to Coffee and, the longest-running panel discussion show in American radio. To make a comment or ask a question to the panel, call 401-766-1240 or email at joe@onesockеtradio.com. And now let's join the Coffee and panel on ON 1240, WOON One Socket Radio.
Good morning to you. It is Coffee and Time on ON, AM, and FM. Thanks for joining us this morning. My name is Joe Callahan, and on the phone with us this morning from the Northern Rhode Island Chamber of Commerce, Paul Willett. Good morning to you, Paul.
Good morning, Joe. How are you?
I'm all right. You doing okay?
I'm doing okay. We're hanging in.
Excellent. Glad to hear it. And Tom Ward from the Valley Breeze newspaper is in studio. Good morning to you, Tom.
Good morning, Joe.
Nice to have you here as well. You doing okay?
I'm doing fine. Everyone
Excellent.
around me is doing fine. So
Good.
I think we're okay.
All right. It's good to hear, of course. Now, let's get a first message from the Northern Rhode Island Chamber of Commerce. So it's over to Paul Willett.
All right. Thank you, Joe. Excuse me. Chamber of Commerce continues to be busy. We have started to slowly go back into the office, and it's not that we weren't connected this whole time, but the office will be staffed every day. We're starting to go in somewhat on a part-time basis and working the rest of the time from home. But we continue to do busy. There is a lot going on. There's still activity in Washington with a new COVID PPP program and other funding options. So we're keeping an eye on that. There's a lot going on in the state, but I just want to tell you about some of the upcoming events that we are having, and also later on in the program I want to talk about some important information regarding distribution of masks, sanitizer, and that sort of thing. So on May 18th, we continue our virtual webinar series, and we are having one called Using Digital Marketing to Move Your Audience through the Sales Funnel. A lot of businesses are reinventing themselves and getting into digital marketing, so there's going to be some good information there. And, we've talked about the last several weeks about a new series that we have called Member Monday, when a member, it's either a discussion or providing some type of demonstration on their craft. And on the 18th, the same day as that seminar, we have Mark Allen Fine Clothers, who's going to be talking about what they've been doing. They do somewhat upscale men's clothing, and they've also been producing cloth face masks. So that's the 18th. On the 19th, we have another webinar that is pretty important. A lot of people are doing Zoom, and I was on a Zoom call yesterday, and a couple of people had never used it before, and they didn't know what the heck they were doing. They were, clanging dishes in the background and everything, and didn't know how to conduct themselves. So this is going to address how to be professional on Zoom as you are in person. And then this should capture Joe's interest, we have on the 21st, the Pawtucket Red Sox are going to be doing a virtual conversation, and that is going to be at noontime. It's going to take the place, not really take the place of our annual Paw Sox luncheon, but at least it'll be a noontime event. Larry Lucchino, Dr. Steinberg, and oh God, I hope I pronounce this right. Am I saying it right? Castiglione?
Joe Castiglione.
Castiglione, thank you. So he's going to be the moderator, and they're going to have a discussion about the 2013 Red Sox World Series winners. So that is going to be, again, on the 21st at noontime. And if anybody's interested in any of these events, they're all on our website. There's no charge for any of this, and you don't have to be a member to participate. So you can go on nrichamber.com and just hit the registration button.
All right, Paul. Nicely done. All right, to start things off today, we'll start this off on a national level. And maybe you guys heard the story. Happened about a week or so ago about the kid, 5-year-old kid from Utah, wanted to buy a Lamborghini. So he got into his parents' SUV, started driving. Did you hear this story?
I heard something about that. Yep.
Okay. He was pulled over by the Utah State Police because he was driving erratically, and he had $3 in his pocket, and he said he was driving to California because he wanted to buy a Lamborghini. All right.
Can't blame him.
Yeah, but $3 isn't really gonna. It's not much of a down
He
payment
didn't
now,
know
is it?
that, but sometimes I know there's one car dealer that talks about they just needed 10 cents down to find them.
But I bring it up because he's back in the news again, and things like this, and I don't know why it bugs me, but it bugs me. Now, what he did was wrong, correct? Can we agree on this? Okay. He's being rewarded.
Mm-hmm.
And it happened, let's see, what did it happen this past weekend? The 5-year-old, his name is Adrian. Yeah, he spent last weekend in Beverly Hills, and he got to ride in luxury cars, and he met stars like Jamie Foxx. His family accepted an invitation from a luxury car dealer, and they drove Adrian around in different cars, including a Lamborghini. He made national headlines when he got pulled over. Now, his parents say he's been grounded indefinitely as punishment. But this does not sound like punishment to me.
Well,
this.
Go ahead, Joe. I'm sorry.
He got the trip to California, got to ride around in cars because he did something wrong.
Right.
That's the way I'm looking at it.
Right, but we live in social media age now.
Right.
Nobody cares about minor things like that. They saw the opportunity for a publicity stunt. I'm not as exercised as you are, because I think the parents probably handled it right. That they went berserk. You're grounded. You can't touch. Kids do things like this. I mean, not often, and they usually don't have a great backstory. Like, I got $3 and I'm looking for a Lamborghini, and I know California's in that direction. So it's a great backstory that caught on, and so it happened. But things happen so fast now at light speed in social media that things happen. Then you've got a car dealer saying, "Hey, we can glom onto this and get our names." I was going to say get our names in the paper. No one cares about that anymore. Get our names in social media, whatever, and make a big deal of this and get publicity. And so, they're gonna do that. I mean, it's been going on forever. It just happens much faster. I think the breakdown is this: who let it out into the wider world? Because typically, the world I grew up in, and maybe you grew up in, the kid gets caught, police drive him home. They tow the car, they call the father, say, "Come pick up your vehicle." And that's where it ends. They just kind of like, the police will sit the boy down and say, "Look, you can't do this." Try to put a little fear of God in him, and that's it. But once a police officer or a parent, and I'm not sure who did it, kind of release it into the wider world, like, "Ha ha, look at what this boy did," then you throw gasoline on the fire, and then it becomes this. So, like I said, I'm not quite as upset as you are, but I mean, this is just a car dealer being a car dealer. Hey, we can glom onto this story, make a name for ourselves, get a lot of free press, and so that's what they do.
All right. Paul, thoughts on this?
What's that? Oh, thoughts on it. Excuse me.
He fell asleep.
I was taking a sip of coffee. No, I mean, I agree with Tom. This is something like, being rewarded for bad behavior, and I'm sure whoever was behind the trip to California and the car ride, it's a promotional event for them to get some national attention. So, I wasn't aware of the story. I had briefly heard about it, but I didn't know the details. I thought you were going to say they handcuffed the kid and arrested him or something.
Oh, no, nothing like that.
Oh, but I think it's kind of silly. Like Tom said, kids do things, and just because you want or wish, it doesn't mean you should get it. So parents did do the right thing in reprimanding him and in a manner that they felt was appropriate, but I think it's kind of silly myself.
Parents got a nice trip to California out of the deal.
There you go.
And who knows? Maybe the parents did the publicity for
maybe.
it.
Well, that's that. Yeah, maybe.
Well, and yeah, I'm sure if we were out in California, in Beverly Hills, we would know the name of this car dealership that did this thing. And yeah, they get a lot of free publicity on it. The way
it shouldn't have been free. What the parents should have said is, look, here's the deal. We're punishing him and he's grounded, so he can't go to your dealership. However, if you put $5,000 in his college account, then we can have a conversation about this, and then see if they pony up.
The way this gets out in all police departments, and including state police, have Facebook and Twitter accounts. Yep. So it was posted to the Utah State Police Facebook page, I think, and they just said, wasn't this unusual? We pulled over this 5-year-old boy that was and he said he was on his way to California to buy this Lamborghini.
Yep.
Well, as you know, news outlets scour the Facebook page and the Twitter pages of police departments to see what's going on. And so someone saw that, said, hey, there's a story there, wrote it up, and then now we know about it here in Rhode Island.
That's right. But so now you've answered my question. So it's the police who are responsible for this mess. Well, I personally don't think they should necessarily have a Twitter page. You can have a Twitter page for when you need to alert the public for something, or when you need to, but not, hey, this is a cool story. Because it's a private matter in a family, really, is what it is. I mean, the kid didn't, hurt anybody or hit anybody, or thank God, cause an accident. So it's a private matter, and so then it becomes the Utah State Police, who, by design or inadvertently, said, let's bring some attention to ourselves and to this child, when it would have been better just handled quietly. But nothing's handled quietly anymore because everybody wants their 15 minutes.
Well, I'm thinking it was done inadvertently. I look at what my town police, what they put out on Facebook and Twitter, and who's ever in charge of it, is usually rather humorous. Mm-hmm. When they're talking about, we're trying to find this person, he just robbed some store. And they put their picture up, and they try to be, if you know who this guy is, come let us know, and things like that. They also put up stuff of where road blockages will be in town, so they do put out a lot of information.
No, exactly, and those are really useful things to do. I completely agree that things like that. I mean, if 5 minutes after a bank robber or 10 minutes after a bank rob, they can through technology get that person's face up. That's good. That's wonderful. It's just human nature. There's no bad guy here. They just get used to the rhythm of putting everything up or saying, "Hey, this is cool," when it maybe not. Maybe it's not supposed to be up. So okay. Like I said, you answered my question. It's the police who lit the fuse. I don't want to say in the wrong, but it's police who lit the fuse, and that's why this happened. And I think people are still entitled to a certain amount of privacy, but nobody has privacy anymore, and that's just the way it is.
I just think about maybe there's a 10-year-old out there that didn't take his parents' car. Maybe he wrote a letter, or maybe he wrote a Facebook tweet and said, I'm sending this off to the dealership, and said, I would love that kind of car someday. And the dealership's going to look at it and say, yeah, that's nice.
Yeah.
Come see us in 20 years.
You hear these stories of if children are gravely ill, where they're going through cancer treatment or whatever.
Sure.
And, that is totally appropriate.
Of course it is.
Something in that situation is great. But in this case, it's just silly.
Okay. We're going to take a break here in the Coffee and program, so comments and questions can be called in at 766-1240. Paul, let's get a second message from the Northern Rhode Island Chamber of Commerce.
Sure. Well, the Chamber continues to be resourceful. As we get information, we do update our members, and we have a lot of information on our website. But one thing I want to talk about, and this is developing, we are having a staff meeting later this morning to iron out the details, but if you listen to the governor's daily briefings, on Wednesday she mentioned, excuse me, my allergies are kicking in this morning. She did mention that there would be some PPE products, personal protection equipment, available for small businesses. So the Chamber is going to be the Northern Rhode Island distribution of those products. We haven't received them yet, and we're still working out the logistics. But in a nutshell, there will be hand sanitizer available in 2-ounce bottles, one per employee. There will be, and all this information is for companies with 50 or less employees. There'll be surgical masks, the 3-ply type, that will be distributed 8 per employee, and there'll be instructions on, how the employees should be wearing them. They should be, lasting them for the week. Well, actually, they're asking them to wear them a couple times a week. Then there will be a distribution of disinfectant. That won't take place through the Chamber. Anybody who is interested in these products and signs up will get a voucher for a gallon of disinfectant if you have 25 employees or less, and if you have more than 25 employees, you will receive 2 gallons. And those will be distributed by, we will email you a voucher, and you can pick them up at any Ocean State job lot in Rhode Island. So it's again, just developing. As soon as we get more information on how we're going to be handling this, we will be putting it on our website. But if you're listening, you can contact the Chamber. We've started an Excel spreadsheet, and we will we'll ask you for some information, including your email address, so we can get you those vouchers. But more to come, as they say.
All right, Paul, thanks. The Coffee and program will continue here on ON, AM, and FM.
Navigant Credit Union would like to take this time to say thank you to all the wonderful men and women who are working every day at Landmark Medical Center. This week is National Hospital Week, and Landmark Medical Center stands with more than 5,000 other U.S. hospitals in providing quality patient care to all. ON Radio and Navigant Credit Union salute the workers at our local hospital. Visit Navigant Credit Union online at navigantcu.org.
The Estepato Memorial Chapel is dedicated to assisting families and friends during difficult and stressful times by listening to each family's individual needs and providing options that are suitable for the family. All questions are welcome about possible choices and preferences in planning funeral and cremation services. Sue DePato and her staff continually strive to abide by the highest standards of the profession, and they attend to many of the small details. To speak about pre-planning or other needs, please call Sue DePato at the Estepato Memorial Chapel, 1583 Diamond Hill Road, Woonsocket, 767-5577.
America is kept safe because the Army National Guard responds, protects, and supports our nation when it needs them most. The Army National Guard responds to disasters such as wildfires and floods. They protect us with missile defense, cybersecurity, and civilian support teams for chemical, biological, and radiological hazards. Be there for your community and your country. Visit NationalGuard.com to learn more about part-time service. Sponsored by the Rhode Island Army National Guard. Aired by the Rhode Island Broadcasters Association and this station.
The Coffee and Panel is enjoying coffee from Down East Coffee in Pawtucket. They're a 62-year-old family business that roasts all its coffee right here in Rhode Island. Founded originally as Excellent Coffee Company, they provide great coffee to food service establishments throughout New England.
We are local and live at 99.5.
It's Coffee In on ON Radio. Thanks for joining us on this Friday morning. It's May 15th, and this is Joe Callahan here with Paul Ouellette and Tom Ward. And they say in Massachusetts the casinos are going to be closed for another 15 days at least. The casinos, all three of them, cannot open in Mass until at least June 1st. I can almost guarantee that will. I put a bet on it that'll go out even longer.
Okay,
Would you say so?
Let's get Twin River open. Let's make some money here.
That's right.
Get all these Massachusetts people down here.
You could really corner the market right now if they open
If they
up
get
right.
sick, they're from Mass. No, I'm just kidding. I'm joking.
All right. I've mentioned in the past, or brought it up, just saying, do you think there'll be Major League Baseball? And Paul brought up how they're going to talk about the 2013 Boston Red Sox winning the World Series, but the baseball owners agreed on putting together a plan that would start the season around July 4th and run through the end of the October, I guess. But now it's got to go to the players, and they have to agree to it. Well, I don't know if you've heard already, but there's a player for the Tampa Bay Rays. He's a pitcher, and his name is Blake Snell, and he says he's not pitching if he – and this is the problem – if he gets a reduced salary. And he's not playing for less money when he thinks he can put himself at risk of getting the coronavirus. And if he thinks this, there are other players that are thinking this as well. And therefore, I don't think there'll be Major League Baseball this summer.
Nah, he's full of it. It's not about coronavirus. It's about wrecking his arm. And I sort of take his side on this. My take on it would be this. First of all, I don't know the details. I don't know how much this guy makes, because you're right. There are a few of us in this listening audience who, okay, well, you were supposed to make $10 million. We're only going to pay you $3 million. There are a few of us.
The owners, it's a 50-50 revenue split, and he doesn't like it.
Well, he doesn't like the revenue split because it's not a 50% cut, Joe. The stands are empty. And so what the owners are saying is, all we're getting is TV money, and we're not going to get any revenue from the stands. Those cardboard cutouts do not like to pay $50 a seat. So what'll happen is this. I think it's probably a pretty significant pay cut. I would leave this up to the experts, and that is the players' union, who knows how the money flows in Major League Baseball, whether it's TV money or whatever. First of all, you've already only got a half a season. So you're talking about half pay. You only get half a season. Then the stands are empty. So you might be, like I said, you might be saying, well, your contract says 10, but we're only going to pay you 2. So here's a guy who, like I said, I don't know anything about this guy. Suppose he's got a 5-year contract or a 4-year contract for $10 million apiece, and they say we're only going to pay you 2 this year, and he gets hurt. He's gonna have to go. I hope his contract would have to, if I were him, I'd be like, well, no, my contract's going to be written in such a way as if you're going to put me up for possible injury in a year where I've only paid $2 million, you can't kick me to the curb the last 2 years. I still have to have a guarantee on my $10 million or something, because I risk that. And so in his case, in the case of a pitcher, because pitchers do so much more than they used to 50 years ago, more things that twist their arms and stuff. I can see a pitcher saying, you know what? I'll tell you what. All things considered, if the pay goes from $10 million to $2 million, I'm going to make plenty of money in the last 2 years of my contract, so I'm just going to sit this one out. I'll keep working out. I'll stay healthy, and I'll see you next year. And I could see a pitcher saying that. So I'm kind of taking his side because they're so fragile now that I can. It's not a crazy idea in my mind.
All right. What I read, Tom, was he's looking at it this way. Okay, if it's a 50-50 split, and say I go from $10 million down to $5 million, he goes, well, then I get taxed on the $5 million. So I'm not actually making $5 million.
Well, he needs to play for the Florida Marlins. Wait a minute, you said the guy was for the Rays. What's he talking?
Rays.
Oh my God! I mean, does this person talk about a disconnect? There's 30 million people unemployed in the country, and he's grousing about the fact that he's going to get taxed because he's not his take-home pay won't be $5 million anymore. I mean, come on.
Correct. And that's what's driving most sports fans crazy.
Right. Right.
Is that look at how much you actually will be bringing home, as opposed to who isn't working right now.
Right.
Kind of thing.
Yeah. No, I think
on them right now.
I totally get what you're saying, but I just can't imagine that like I said, if it was me, I would have no animosity. I would say, can I just sit this out? Because it's too risky for me to make that little money, and I'd rather have a zero. I mean, if you made $10 million last year and you're going to make $10 million the next 2 years, I think you can squeeze by with no income for 1 year. I really do. And so
he might not get paid at all.
So what?
I don't know.
He won't have to pay taxes now, will he? If he's so concerned about taxes. But I don't know. It sounds nutty. But like I said, I have even less sympathy now because you said he was Tampa Bay, right? He's on the Rays.
He's on the Rays, yeah.
So he doesn't even have a state income tax. That's why people play for the Rays and the Marlins. They don't even have to pay a state income tax. So that's another couple $100,000 in his pocket. So spare me the crocodile tears.
All right, but you might start hearing that from other players, just saying, "Hey, I don't want to pay for half of what my contract says I was going to get paid." And maybe they will sit. Maybe they will sit out the year.
You're right, and you're right. Maybe the season they can't come to an agreement, but that's where the union comes in, and I think the union has to say, kind of all or nothing with the players. Guys, we all got to sign on with this. We're all going to take a hit because, as I said, first of all, the season's only 82 games, so you're already half. Then you've got empty stands, so maybe that's another 20%. So you're down to basically earning about 1/3 of your pay. I think. I have no idea. But what are you going to do?
But the way I look at it, Tom, and just hearing how these agents work, they're not going to settle for 50-50, and they're going to fight to get 100% of what they were supposed to get paid.
Okay.
And if we don't get 100%, we're not going to play.
Okay. Well, then maybe it will come to that, and the owners are going to say, you know what? You guys are being too big a pain in the neck. See you next year, and that'll be it.
It might just come to that. Do you see it that way, Paul?
Well, and I think a lot of agents, like I said, I took a little hiatus. I don't know if I got disconnected, so I did say a couple of things. I don't think you could hear me, but the agents are going to be working very hard. But I'd be curious to know what the ratio is of the the for the TV audience versus the live ticket sales, and maybe work out some type of formula. But and Tom mentioned about probably being an all or nothing. There are people who are going to feel like that, and I'm sure there's a cohort that says, you know what, this is America's pastime, and we need to be out there. I'm sure there's going to be a divide. It's going to be interesting to see how it all plays out. It really is.
Well, there's another possibility that they'll come to a compromise that says, it's all or nothing. However, franchise players or maybe any player who doesn't feel safe, because isn't this what you're going to have to do at your business? Any player who doesn't feel safe can take the season off. Period. And then you bring up more Paw Sox guys and stuff who have a chance. Maybe there's 5 guys on the Paw Sox that get a chance this year because 5, other red letter players said, you know what, considering how much money's involved in my personal contract, I'm I'm going to sit it out. Okay, so 5 Portside. I mean, they've got a deep bench. They've got players ready to go. So maybe it's a big chance for 5 guys to get on the team. But the show must go on. But any individual might be able to say, "I'll take the year off, thank you," and that could be a reasonable compromise too.
There's the operative word, Tom, reasonable, and when it comes to the Players Association, they're never reasonable.
Well, I'm not so sure about that. I don't know the details, so I don't want to scream bloody murder on the union. I don't know.
Okay, the owners have agreed to expand the rosters up to like 30 players on a team. So they will have plenty of players.
How does that help social distancing in the dugout when you squeeze 5 more guys in?
If there's no one in the stands, okay, you 5 go sit in the stands.
Are they going to tell him? Are they going to tell him not to spit this year? It's going to be kind of gross on that floor at the end of each.
All right, break time now on Coffee and time for a look at the forecast, being brought to you by Batteries Plus Bulbs. Today, we are going to have a cloudy day. There's a chance of showers throughout the day. Heavy stuff coming in later this afternoon into this evening. High temperature today will be near 79. Tonight, cloudy skies. Scattered showers and thunderstorms are likely. Some of the storms could be severe with large hail, damaging winds, and heavy rain. Low temperature tonight around 60. Saturday looks nice, mostly sunny, high near 74. Saturday night, mostly cloudy, low 47. Sunday, partly sunny, high near 68. And the outlook for Monday, cloudy with showers and a high near 57. And currently outside the Navigant Credit Union broadcast studio on the corner of Park Avenue and Kennedy Street, we have 59 degrees. At Batteries Plus Bulbs, they have never been prouder to back you up. So when you need them, they'll be there at your local Batteries Plus Bulbs store, curbside, and batteriesplus.com. More Coffee Ends coming up. Please stay tuned.
A message from the Carew Investment Group, 68 Cumberland Street, at the corner of Clinton and Cumberland Streets here in Woonsocket. The Carew Investment Group offers you personal management of investment accounts. Depending on what you're looking for, whether it be to enhance your current income, a 401k rollover, or retirement income, we'll put together a plan for you. We focus on using quality dividend-paying stocks of companies that you know, investment-quality bonds, exchange-traded funds, and use the advantages offered by IRAs. You can contact Paul or Ed at the Carew Investment Group anytime for a free no-obligation portfolio review at 765-8880. Our office is at 68 Cumberland Street in Woonsocket, and our telephone number again is 765-8880. You can also email Ed at ed@carewinvestmentgroup.com or visit the website at www.carewinvestmentgroup.com. Securities offered through Bolton Global Capital, member FINRA and SIPC. Advisory services offered through Bolton Global Asset Management, a registered investment advisor.
The Baroaster House restaurant on Pond Street in Woonsocket is open for takeout and delivery of any dish on their menu. All you have to do is call them at 762-1717. Tell them if you'll pick it up or if you want it delivered. You have a choice. The Baroaster House is open 7 days a week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday from 4 to 8, Thursday 4 to 9, and Friday and Saturday 3 to 9, Sundays noon to 8. You don't have to miss your favorite Baroaster House meal. Order, takeout, or delivery at 762-1717. That's 762-1717. The Baroaster House.
Hi, Mooseman here. The Groove Line is aired every Thursday live between 1 and 2 p.m. and replayed at 6 to 7 p.m. All your favorites, a variety of rock, and the Beatles every single week. That's the Groove Line right here on ON.
Coffee In on ON Radio. This is Joe Callahan with Paul Willett and Tom Ward. And this segment of the Coffee In program is sponsored by the Valley Breeze newspaper. So let's get a first message, Tom, from the Valley Breeze.
Well, we just want to remind everyone, if they haven't already picked up their paper, that this week's issue has the Spring in the Valley section. The sales staff and the news staff did a really good job under current circumstances, putting together a really nice Spring in the Valley section just in time. They must have checked with Mother Nature on the timing of this because, winter didn't end until Wednesday. And so finally, things got much nicer yesterday, and today's a nice warm day, and it's going to be a beautiful weekend. And so, you need to get out there, pick up your Valley Breeze, and the Spring of the Valley section has all kinds of, ads and specials from many of the people who were really getting cranked up now, the garden centers and stuff like that, as well as any do it yourself ideas and stay at home ideas about making a garden or all kinds of things. All in this week's Valley Breeze. So we urge you to get out there, pick up the paper if you haven't already. And besides all the great news that the staff is doing in the paper itself, we have a really nice Spring in the Valley section. So I just want to remind everybody of that. If they need to talk to us, give us a call at 334-9555 or visit the paper at valleybreeze.com. Thank you.
All right, Tom. I wanted to bring this up.
Hey, Joe, I'm going to interrupt just for a minute, okay, if you don't mind. I'm sorry, it's not my but I was talking about spitting. We got a funny caller phoned in. I was talking about how the baseball players spit and, how they're not going to spit this year. And he says, spitting, it's like telling a baseball player not to breathe. There's some truth to that, isn't there? You sit there watching the game and you say, man, oh man, did their mother teach these kids to spit like this? I mean, it's just, it's nonstop with some of them.
Yeah.
And so anyway, not the most sanitary thing, but good call, caller.
That's right. I think the player that spits the least is actually the catcher, but you'll see them stand up and pull their mask up, spit, pull the mask back.
Yeah. You're right. I never thought of that. The catcher really can't be a big spitter, can he? He's behind that mask.
Much less than the others.
Yep.
Right, Tom, I want you to go ahead, Paul.
You're talking about baseball. Did you guys hear this week what Mookie Betts did?
No.
No.
In his hometown, he was shopping in a Kroger supermarket, and he paid for everybody's groceries in the store. And he also threw a pizza party for all the employees of Kroger. Well,
wow.
Anyway, I thought that was a pretty cool thing to do.
It is. He's celebrating his new contract. Speaking of new contracts, I guess he's going to get it. But that's very nice. I mean, and that's not really surprising considering he has a very good reputation, and good for him.
Yeah, nice.
All right, now Tom, I want you to speak to your column this week in the Breeze. In case someone hasn't read it yet, I just read it this morning.
Sure.
And it talks about Anchor Subaru, to be specific, and the Benoit brothers, but how things work in the state of Rhode Island when you buy a car in Rhode Island as opposed to buying it in Massachusetts, and you're a resident of Rhode Island.
Well, first of all, I'm going to preface the column this way: is I'm trusting the Benoits on this, and I do trust them. But I did not have a chance to call the Department of Revenue and find out all the facts on this stuff. But I, as I said, I trust Brian Benoit, who I've been in touch with, and the Benoits. They've been doing this for, in Brian's case, he said, I've been doing this for 33 years. There's no explanation for this, and so they want to drill down. But anyway, the story goes like this. The Benoits bought an ad in the paper that I wasn't aware of, and I became aware of. And essentially, they're complaining because they're saying, I don't think people in Rhode Island understand that when they buy a car in Rhode Island or in Massachusetts, a lot of the tax money goes there. Well, let's start at the beginning. You go to Anchor, you buy a car. They'll take your sales tax. You have to pay them the 7% sales tax. And then they take the money to the registry and they register your car, and Rhode Island gets that 7%. Fine. Everybody knows this. When you go to Massachusetts, and I admit I've bought a car in Massachusetts, and I hand my 7% Rhode Island tax, I was always under the understanding that as a Rhode Island resident, the money still goes to Rhode Island. I go they take my 7% because they don't charge me 6.25%. I don't save anything. So because you register in Rhode Island. The sales tax in Mass is 6.25%. So I thought, well, okay, you pay 7. They take a check to the registry to register my car. They do all the dirty work. And then they come back, and the car has a plate on it. And I have always assumed that money went to Rhode Island and that there was sort of an understanding between states. Well, it turns out That's not true. Massachusetts keeps most of that money, and the 6.25%, and they send the extra 0.75% back to Rhode Island. And so what the Benoits is simply saying is, do people understand how much money is going out, is being sent out of state when they shop in Massachusetts? And as we all know, retail has been set up to be retail between Massachusetts and Rhode Island has been set up to be an attack on Rhode Island and on Rhode Island wallets and on Rhode Island dollars for a long time. It started with Seekonk, and then it grew into Attleboro with Emerald Square as the anchor, where all of these businesses, including many car dealers, kind of grew up along Route 1. Let's just talk about us. Route 1 here or in Route 6 in Seekonk. And, advertised back in the day in the Providence Journal and pull people over the line and pull those dollars over the line. They had a little bit of a benefit, a little bit of an advantage with sales tax, and so they always kept stealing Rhode Island shoppers. And it is fine for a little, you buy a candy bar in Mass, and yes, you're going to pay, and the money all goes to Mass. But the understanding was that wasn't the case with cars. And so, long story short, the Benoits pointed out they did their math because they know the Rhode Island car sales. That here we now live in a world, we've all heard the story from Gina Raimondo freaking out over the budget deficit she now faces, and rightfully so. She was facing a $200 million deficit. Now it's an $800 million deficit for this year that starts in a month and a half. It's like we need money, and all things are on the table. Okay. And so the Benoits said, well, look, you want all things are on the table. And by the way, this only happens in 7 states. So you can't say, well, whatever happening here is customary across America. It's not. It only happens in 7 states. 43 states collect taxes, and it goes to the registry. It goes to where the person lives. So anyway, the Benoits' point was they did the math, and it comes out to $145 million. And the way $145 million is basically half of Twin River. I mean, that's half of a casino that we're paying the taxes already. This is not a tax increase. We're paying the taxes already. The money just goes to Massachusetts. And so why are we doing this? And that's the point of Brian Benoit and the Benoit family, the brothers, is they're simply saying, why is this public policy? And they've been, talking to politicians through the years about this, who basically all kind of shrug and say, oh, I guess that's the way it is. And so the Benoits have finally said, well, why is it this way? Why? Because this is not, if this was happening in all 50 states, well, then you shrug your shoulders and say that's the way it is. But it's not. And so the question I ask in the column is, why are we so dumb? And so $145 million that we spend now is being given to Massachusetts.
It's free money from Massachusetts. And
it's huge money for Massachusetts. And so they're going to scream about it, but so what? But Brian brought up another thing. He said, okay, but if that's the law, and that's the way the law's got to stand, he came up with another idea. He said they could simply have a Rhode Island stimulus plan. Gina Raimondo could put this in her pipe as far as trying to make more money, and simply say, listen, we're going to come up with a program that says buy Rhode, for the next 2 years, and hopefully it becomes permanent. But let's just say, for the next 2 years, if you buy a car in Rhode Island, the sales tax is only 5%. Brian said 6. I'll go one better than 5, because 5's a round number, sort of, that people can say, wow, that's a 1.25% difference in sales tax. That's pretty significant. So
on a $40,000 car, it's very significant.
Right. And so right now, we could stimulate Rhode Island. This is Brian's idea. He says we can stimulate Rhode Island by saying, buy your car in Rhode Island, and you only pay 5% sales tax for maybe for the next 18 months, sort of a COVID stimulus thing.
Yeah.
Because right now we're only getting 0.75%. So people start buying their cars in Rhode Island as opposed to Mass, we'd get 5%. And while it wouldn't still add up to $145 million, it would add up to $100 million. And so why not consider that? Because that's something they could pass pretty easily. Just saying, look, it's temporary, and we're going to do it for 18 months, or maybe we're going to do it for 24 months. But for the next couple of years, when you buy a car, if you buy it in a Rhode Island dealership, because then you buy it in the Rhode Island dealership, all the money goes to Rhode Island. That's the current regulation. So, and then, of course, you have all the other spin-offs. You had, Anchor Subaru, Anchor Nissan, any Rhode Island, Majestic, any of these Rhode Island dealers, Tasca in Woonsocket, they're going to need more help. They're going to need more employees who are going to pay, more payroll tax and income tax and stuff to Rhode Island. It becomes a self-fulfilling thing in Rhode Island. Now, Brian also said, some people said, maybe the car's cheaper. Maybe I'm getting a better deal in Massachusetts. That's not the case. He says that's never the case. A car costs about what a car costs. They just monkey around. They always fiddle around with those little extra charges, delivery charges, and all those bogus things at the end. That's the stuff they fiddle around with. And it's Brian's contention that in Massachusetts they'll advertise a lower price, but then when you're not looking, you're going to pay some ridiculous, $500 or $700, delivery charge or some stupid fee. So he's like, if you pay attention to those things, you'll realize that the car is going to cost you the same amount of money, whether you buy it in North Smithfield or Attleboro. But anyway, I just thought, and it's funny because I would have preferred for my column to do a bit more homework, but I told Brian, I said, I want to take up this crusade, but I'm down to, my last column essentially, and so I wrote about it this week, and I am trusting of Brian. But I do want to preface it by saying I have not talked to the Department of Revenue or anybody in government, but I hope it does stimulate the conversation, because he put the ad in the Providence Journal too, and I hope it does stimulate enough conversation where citizens, people who are listening to the show, start to talk to their state representatives and stuff and say, what is going on? Why are we giving away all this money? I thought this money stayed in Rhode Island, and it's not. And we're making Massachusetts $145 million a year richer every year. Why are we doing it? I mean, you wonder why Massachusetts schools are so much nicer? Well, we built them. I mean, duh. So I mean, think of the good work, and especially now the problems we're going to have in Rhode Island. Because Gina is saying everything's on the table as far as money goes, and so I know what that means. That means tax increases are coming. We all know this, and so I expect the car tax that we've all that's been being cut through the years has probably gone away. I think that tax is going to increase again. So there were just all kinds of things that we're going to get hit pretty hard with, probably in the next month. What they're really waiting for is how much of a bailout they're going to get. They'll almost certainly get some money from the federal government, but only time will tell. But I mean, the state's in a pretty precarious position. No, every state's in a precarious position. And by the way, the sooner they open it up, the better.
Of course.
All right. Go ahead.
We got to take a look here, Tom. So let's get a second message from the Valley Breeze newspaper, and then we'll come right back.
Well, it's the same I've said before. If you're placing, this is a busy time of year. I think the yard sales are going to pick up again very soon. We have the yard sale ads in the
yard sales with the COVID-19.
Huh? Oh,
Can
good point.
Yeah.
You know what? I don't know.
I haven't.
It's outdoor. I mean, this is the insanity that we're dealing with the state. I'm sorry, I can't be polite anymore. The outdoor stuff is somehow this toxic stew, which is ridiculous as far as I'm concerned. But anyway, you know what? So you're right. I won't talk about yard sales yet, because they'll probably be shut down, because Gina just likes shutting stuff down. So the more misery, the better. I think that's the motto. But anyway, if you're a business person who works around the house, who you might be a one-man or two-man shop, or a two-person shop, I should say, doing work around the house, handyman, electric, plumbing, things like that. you might want to give Donna Meehan a call. Donna takes care of the ads in the back of the Valley Breeze, and she can help you with business cards. They're affordable. They'll get your name out there and help get you busy at this time. I'm not going to preach to you about how to social distance when you're working on somebody's house, but that's not the same as a yard sale, I guess. So anyway, give Donna a call, or her email is donna@valleybreeze.com. She'll point you in the right direction, take care of you right away, because I know this is a very busy time of the year for Donna and for people who do work around the house. So anyway, give Donna a call at 334-99555. Thank you.
Okay, Tom, and the Coffee and program will continue. We're coming right back.
I'm here with Kara Benjamin of the Benjamin Insurance Agency. Kara, what's the best part of your job?
The best part of my job is providing security to families and help protect what's important to them. My specialty is picking apart policy details so customers understand their coverages and options. It can be very overwhelming, and I am here to help with that.
You're in good hands with Allstate and Kara and Celeste Benjamin of the Benjamin Insurance Agency, 125 Eddie Dowling Highway, across from Dowling Village in North Smithfield, 765-5000.
Our business is truly a referral business, and we have built it based on our premier service level and commitment to what we do. If you are looking for personalized service with people who care, that would be us.
At Milford Federal Bank, we're not only bankers, we're neighbors, we're friends. We know your stories and you know ours. We participate in the same local traditions, support the same causes, care about the same issues, and take pride in doing our part to make the community the best it can be. Milford Federal Bank, proud to be your neighbor, your friend, and your bank since 1887. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
We've unlocked the vaults, and we're replaying Casey Kasem's American Top 40, the 80s. This week is from May 16, 1981. That's when John Lennon was watching the wheels. Sheena Easton boarded the morning train. REO Speedwagon wanted to take it on the run, and Santana was winning. You'll hear those songs, all the top 40 hits, and the long-distance dedications from May 16, 1981, right here on Casey Kasem's American Top 40, the 80s.
It's Coffee and on ON, AM and FM. This is Joe Callahan here with Tom Ward, and Paul Willett is with us as well. Paul's on the phone. And Paul, have you heard anything? I know you keep track of what businesses are doing and what they can and who can open and who can't. But have you heard anything about people having yard sales? Can they?
No, not at all. And I, immediately said the same thing that you did when Tom said that. I mean, there are some signs in stores asking you not to touch the product unless you're going to take it off the shelf. I don't think that would be something that people just grab things, take it out of their cellar, their garage or whatever, and then people come and they look at something, they pick it up. I've seen some yard sales, depending on what the products they're selling, with a lot of people. And so what would you do? You have somebody stand at the end of your driveway. Okay, you can come in. No, you wait. I haven't heard of any local ordinances that would prevent you from doing it, and I'm not sure if that's something that was high on the priority list of things to be looking at.
Probably not.
No. So I haven't heard anything.
No, but it'll come along now, and I'm sure you're right, by the way. So I'm sure they're going to be shut off for the year. Gina loves shutting stuff off, so she's going to shut these off for the year.
I just wonder if you try to have one, will police come by and say, no, you can't?
Yeah.
Probably.
I mean, the encouraging thing is that, as I'm sure you're well aware, it's been publicized that restaurants have to submit plans for out dining and can start next week. But I was in a meeting last night with the Woonsocket, downtown Woonsocket Collaborative, and I asked the question because I've spoken to a few municipalities. If going to be some type of relaxing on parking ordinances where some restaurant owners that I've spoken with, they said, look, we're just going to erect a tent right in the parking lot. And I'm wondering if the municipality is going to say no. You have to have still, even with the limited capacity that you're going to be bound to, you have to have so many parking spaces per customer. So that'll be interesting.
That's a good point, Paul, because you're right. If they're limiting them inside the place, well, then they're not going to need the parking spaces that they've been mandated to have. So it's a good point.
Yeah. So, they're not going to be allowed indoor seating. It's going to be outdoor seating.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and you know what? It's going to be interesting too. I know the tent rental places are going crazy trying to, promote what they have and trying to sell tents to restaurants or rent tents to restaurants. But it'd be interesting to see if, do these tents have sides? Is that still considered an enclosed area, or are they just going to be like a canopy type thing? And what happens if you get rain and wind and that sort of thing? So
yeah, I know what you're saying, Paul. I think what your point is, there are regulations surrounding all these things. And might the state kind of lower their guard a little bit on regulations and say, look, we all know we're in a predicament here, and so we are going to lessen some regulations to make it a little bit easier so that you can keep your business afloat. You want my answer? I bet you they won't. These people are just control freaks, and they love every minute of it. I'm sorry to be so. I think we're over the top here. We're way over the top. What set me off was Camp Yagu closed for the year. I mean,
I read that today.
Enough is enough is enough. This is just nonstop nonsense. But I mean, they've scared the bejeebers out of everybody, and so now we're in this world of nonsense. But I know your point, and I hope you're right, Paul. I hope they sort of say, well, the normal regulation is this. However, we're going to give you a pass now. This is going to be tough enough. I mean, outdoor seating, okay, it sounds fine. We all envision a 72-degree day and it's sunny and stuff, but what good does outdoor seating do you when it's rainy, when it's 90? No one's going to go to you go out to eat to be in an air-conditioned restaurant. So this is only going to work to a point. And I feel so bad for anyone trying to, for these restaurant owners trying to figure out how to stay afloat during this when they've got state people basically saying, this might all start up again in the fall. Ooh, watch out. It's like, you know what? I would be so understanding of anyone who simply said, here's the key, I'm done. Because it's like, are you trying to help us? Or are you trying to kill us? Is your job to kill us? Is that what you're doing? Because you're not helping things. They're not helping things. I'm sorry. I don't want this to be just another rant. But the fact is, this is not a problem for anyone under the age of 50. This is simply not a problem. And yet they've scared the hell out of everybody and ruined the economy. And
Tom, they're going to fix it.
Yeah, right.
Have you heard of the latest latest stimulus package that Kamala Harris and Bernie Sanders and Ed Markey want to do?
No, fill me in.
Are you talking about employment benefit extension?
No.
Did you hear that one?
No, I hadn't heard that one.
All right, Paul first, because I can tell he's ready to go. And then, Joe, we're going to you. Watch the clock, though, Paul.
I am.
No, Paul.
Extending the $600 increase through January.
Nice job. Now no one wants to work. Beautiful. I mean, you really can't. This is Democrats, by the way. That's not Republicans. That's Democrats buying votes through the election. That's all that is.
Well, mine is, it's not mine, but the three Democrats of Kamala Harris and Bernie Sanders and Ed Markey out of Massachusetts want to give every American, $2,000 a month. And then you get an extra $2,000 for each kid you have if you make less than $120,000 a year, which I'm going to assume is most people. All right? So you get $2,000 a month every month until the CDC determines that the pandemic is over. And then that $2,000 a month extends for another 3 months.
Can I get some?
Sure.
I'm in.
Everybody gets everything's free.
I mean, the country's going to collapse, but that's okay as long as I get my $2,000.
They're just going to keep printing the money.
Yeah.
So everything's fine.
Yeah.
See how we fix that?
Everyone better start learning their Chinese. Forget about that French you learned in school. It's time to start learning Mandarin.
Well, they said that the $1,200 we all got, and some still haven't, but most of us got that. I said, well, that just wasn't enough.
Yeah. Oh,
So
it never is. It never is. I mean, I spoke to one merchant in town, which I guess I should be happy about. He's doing such a land office business, and he says, Tom, these are people who can't afford what they're buying from me, but they're coming in here hand over fist with their stimulus. Not nobody. Some of them not. You know, the idea with some of this extra $600 or some of the stimulus is you put some aside in case this takes a little longer. You want to be able to make sure you can pay the rent and whatever. But no. They're not paying the rent because the governor told them not to pay the rent.
Yep.
And then they're taking all that money instead of paying the rent and buying this man's products, which is this man's products happen to be not. I mean, some of it is stuff you need, and some of it is over the top, and they're all feasting on the over the top stuff. And so he's like, he knows these people, and he's just like, oh my God, what are you doing? But he's doing a land office business. He's happy to do it while he can. It's all stimulus. It's all being misspent, and he's just like, okay. I mean, if the United States wants to be this stupid, and we do, it's just all about vote buying. That's all this is about.
That's what I see with those three, with Harris and Sanders and Markey, because Markey's behind Joe Kennedy in Massachusetts in the polls.
Yeah.
So it's a way of saying, hey,
whoever whoever can give away more of other people's money than they can. I mean, how about we drain? How about we go to Kennedy and just simply say, we're going to drain all the Kennedy money, all the and pay for the poor. You'll have to actually go out and get honest jobs.